Hi, my name is Kim Chandler McDonald, and I'm the CEO of Flatworld Integration. Today, we're going to take you through a short demonstration of our Flatworld infrastructure technology, a vendor-neutral, state-of-the-art infrastructure which brings together structured and unstructured data to enable omni-channel, hyper-personalized, multi-party data ecosystems. This particular demonstration shows how five completely separate companies can, very securely, share and collaborate across highly sensitive data for the purposes of doing business seamlessly and frictionlessly. For this demo, we're going to look at logistics in the shipping industry and see how Flatworld empowers you to rise above the noise of big data to create smart data that enables you to deliver what you promise to your customers and achieve your business objectives. In this case, shipping on time. To explain further, I'm going to hand over to my co-founder and CTO of Flatworld Integration, Michael McDonald, who's going to run you through a quick demo.
Fine. So the context we have here is somebody shipping a container to the States. We actually have 5 people involved with this collaboration. Flatworld has already generated the collaboration area. In real life, we'd actually obviously start with one company, then added another, added another. Flatworld allows you to dynamically invite and uninvite people to the collaboration. In this case, we've already invited all 5 parties, and this is just simply for the demonstration to show how to go through it without having to add in those extra steps. So each of these different tags here is basically the 5 different participants. These are actually 5 different companies, so everything from the company who wants to ship their goods to the shipping company itself, the ship that takes it there, obviously insurance around that, and obviously border control. So for the purposes of this demonstration, this one's actually focused on a mobile device. So I've added buttons here to actually generate the data automatically, so it makes it easier. In real life, obviously people would be actually uploading the data and entering it and updating it themselves. So to kick this off, it's really to show how we can bring together these 5 different parties. They can share their data, and we can actually put a workflow on top of this. So this one-page app is actually really small and very easy to put together, utilizing Flatworld as essentially the data collaboration infrastructure behind it. So we'll kick this off, and at the moment I'm actually I'm at the shipping company, so I've logged on as a shipping company, and I've already had contact from the company itself to say how I want to ship something to the States. So what the shipping company does then is basically it has generated and shared with everybody, or shared with the company, the information that needs to be filled out. Okay, what we can see here though is already you see the difference between Flatworld and most platforms is that Flatworld has a very strong concept of data ownership. So because the shipping company put this data up here, what we're seeing now is that Flatworld has identified them as being the data owner of this company, of this data. We'll switch to the company now, okay, and we'll just complete the manifest. So they know what they have to fill out. They'll fill it out and upload the information themselves. And we can see now that the information has been filled out, and we've identified the data owner is the company that's shipping the container. You have 2 options here in Flatworld. You can actually update the data, actually the data that was actually sent from the shipping company, or alternatively you can just update the data and upload it yourself. Either way works fine in the context of Flatworld. What we're seeing here now is because we're actually sharing the data between the different parties, the insurance company now is seeing that we actually have somebody shipping to the States, and we would like to actually have the option to generate a policy for them. So they do that, and what they've done now is they've added in essentially what their policy is, all information around that. We switch to the company has a look at that policy and goes, okay, that's fine, let's accept that policy. Okay, and we've got all that. So what we've got here essentially is a chain of evidence from the very beginning of the collaboration up until now about who has contributed data and what they've contributed. So we should switch the ship at the same time now. Obviously we have machine learning algorithms, or just basically existing types of technology looking at this data and realizing that, okay, we actually have somebody shipping to the States. They want to use our ship. As far as we're concerned now, we have enough information to actually accept the manifest. So the ship does that. And the most interesting thing about this now is that the ship itself has actually accepted the manifest, i.e. the container is going to go on this ship. They've actually put in their own data, but what happened unbeknownst to, not unbeknownst, but transparently to the parties, is this information was shared with the border control in the States. Because Flatworld automatically converts data from any sort of format into a shareable format, which then can be securely combined, stitched together, and then viewed and utilized. What happened here is the ship actually shared the information about this container with the border control. It could be for all of the containers obviously on the ship. Border control then actually has their machine learning algorithms looking at this data, and generally speaking, organizations like border control have a much larger set of data that they can use to look at every element of this this transaction, everything from the shipping company to who's shipping, what they're shipping, when they're shipping, the route, everything like that. And from that, they can apply their machine learning algorithms to this and work out if they're actually interested in having a look at this particular container. The advantage here, Flatworld has seamlessly added all of this data together in a very secure way and then present it in a way that border control could actually utilize it straight out of the box without any coding required. So we switch across to the border control view. We can actually see that the machine learning has come back and actually said that we actually want to have a look at this container. So what they've done, they've actually added in their own data to this collaboration and said, okay, we do want to have a look at this particular container. But if you look at it from any other participant's point of view, they actually don't see that data. What we're seeing here is how Flatworld gives all the participants the ability to selectively share the data that they want to and not share data that they don't want to. So this means that you actually can have all of the data that you need in relation to the transaction from everybody's points of view, but you don't have to have multiple copies floating around different spreadsheets, everything else like that. Flatworld just creates real-time data views based upon the permissions that you've been given, and you only see what you've been permitted to see. So in this case, we'll switch back to border control and we'll pass it. Okay, so we can see that what's happened there is the border approval ticket's gone through, and if we look at it from the ship's point of view, we can actually see now that they actually can see this information from the border control which says they've approved it. Obviously, if they didn't approve it, went to investigation, the border patrol could add in extra information and still not share it with anybody else, and that goes on its own different workflow. Just show the audit trail around this. So what we're seeing here is actually Flatworld's view of everything I just showed you, from everything from how people were invited to the transaction, to the collaboration area, what they did with it as well, and what it's doing at every step of the way. Every time the data is changed, Flatworld generates individual receipts, data receipts for each of the participants in the collaboration. That means that from everybody's point of view, they can validate the data in the transaction, from everything from the beginning of the transaction right through to the data they've got now. We can also ask Flatworld to say, okay, I want to make sure that all the other parties agree that this data is correct. So what happens there, Flatworld will go and actually ask, transparently behind the scenes of course, ask each of the individual participants to provide their receipts, and Flatworld will then verify each of their receipts. So it means you can have an N-way verification of the same data from every aspect of the transaction, from the very beginning right to the very end. The beauty of this, it allows you to do chain of evidence, all that stuff, and have very high trust in the data that's been provided. At every stage, all parties can have a very, very strong confidence that this data is not being shared with anybody else, and they know exactly who's done what, when, and what permissions were given at each stage. Flatworld does all of this automatically for you. Let's switch over just onto the Flatworld view of this. I can show you essentially, we'll have a look at it from the smart data connection point from the actual shipping company that I was just showing you. If we look at this transaction, we can see this is how Flatworld actually sees the transaction, and this is what is actually happening behind the scenes. The collaboration that we just showed there actually is combining a whole bunch of different data sources. These are a list of the data sources we've got. These are just JSON files, but they could be spreadsheets, they could be Word documents, they could be CRM tables, they can be anything you want. Flatworld automatically converts that in real time. It puts it into a data format which is vendor neutral, then can be used essentially to be able to share individual parts of that to a very granular level. We see the source data. We can also see who is actually consuming that data. So okay, we have the 5 different participants we can see. So at every stage you can see everything about how Flatworld stitches the data together. Everything from the permissions that were given to generate these individual views right through to who's consuming it, what they've done, all that sort of stuff. And obviously you've got the data under that. So from that, hopefully that's shown you pretty quickly about the power of Flatworld.
You already know that your business success is increasingly reliant on an exceptionally increasing number of data sources, processes, systems, applications, and tools that all too often don't work together. And this is with the consistent headaches of data accuracy, ownership, permission, and security issues when you attempt to marry personally identifiable information with second and third-party data. That's your data, your partner's data, and your affiliates' data, and data from data retailers. Out of the box, Flatworld gives you the ability to manage this complexity while dealing with the issues of data security, data ownership, and governmental compliance, all of which are critical strategic and operational capabilities. Flatworld can be integrated into existing and legacy tech stacks and structures, and unlike traditional solutions that can take years and millions of dollars to implement, Flatworld can be implemented on the same day, saving a vast amount of time and many millions of dollars. Flatworld's core strengths include multi-party data collaboration via data formatting. It also flattens your data so you don't have to develop bespoke code. Its auditing and compliance capability and contract controls empower you to determine what data you share and who you share it with, and to track exactly what is done with it. Automatically combining and stitching together data from multiple sources to create a real-time, hyper-secure, hyper-personalized data view, Flatworld enables you to take immediate, informed action to deliver hyper-personalized experiences to your customers. If you'd like more information, and I think you will, get in touch. We look forward to hearing from you. Send us an email at moreinfo@flatworld.world. Thanks, and we look forward to speaking to you soon.